So powers and roots, we're going to identify the base and exponent, talk a little vocabulary, and then find the root of a number as well. So if you have 7 to the 5th, right, this is our base. That's our exponent right there to the 5th. That means that you have 5 7s being multiplied. Right, 7 to the 5th, which is, what is that? So that's 16807, right? If you have 2x to the 4th, base is 2x, the exponent is 4. You have 4 of these 2x's being multiplied, right? You can multiply all the 2's. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. I got 16. X times x times x times x. X to the 4th. 16x to the 4th. All right, so what's the difference between these two right here? One of them is saying I have 2, this first one, negative 6 squared. I have 2 negative 6 being multiplied, so negative times a negative is positive. This second one, negative 6 squared. What this is saying do the 6 squared first. Yeah, what this really means, I wish they would put the parentheses around it, but they don't. It says do the 6 squared first, and then apply the negative out front. So 6 times 6 is 36. Then you apply the negative out front, so negative 36. You see the difference between those two? So watch those parentheses, right? There's no parentheses, it means do that part first, then apply the negative out front. Well, go ahead and type that in. What would negative 7 squared be? Good, 49. Excellent. So negative 7 times negative 7. Good. So next one would be good. 6. Got. So he's doing the 7 squared first, then applying the negative, all right? About negative 5 to the 3rd. So we got negative 3 of these negative 5s. What does that give us? Let's do the first two. Negative times negative is positive. What's 25 times negative 5 gives us? Thought Vince was typing there. What's 25 times negative 5? We'll say negative 125. Awesome. Negative 5 to the 3rd. So again, this is do the 5 to the 3rd. 5 times 5 times 5. 125. Then apply the negative out front. So negative 125. And finally, let's do that negative 2 to the 4th. So negative, do the 2 to the 4th. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 gives us, what's that, 16? And then apply the negative, negative 16. Okay. Any questions so far, you guys? This? All right, how about the nth root of b? So the nth root of b means if the nth root of b equals a, that means if a to the n equals b. So for example, let's take a second root of, let's go 16. All right, what's the square root of 16? And you guys say, well, I know that's 4, right? What that means is the square root of 16 is 4 because 4 squared is 16. All right, so if they don't put a little index in like this, square root of 25, that means it's a second root of 25. How I like to do these is I'm looking for 2 of a kind. So I like to break up the 25 into its factors. So I say, well, I'm looking for 2 of a kind. Let me break down 25. If I have 2 of a kind, I can pull it out. So square root of 25 is just 5. Let's do the next one, the third root. Now I'm looking for 3 of a kind. Let me break down 8. 8 is 4 times 2. Well, 4 is 2 and 2. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And I'm looking for 3 of a kind, right? Do I have 3 of a kind? Yes, I do. Third root of 8 is 2, right? If I was doing the third root of 16, then I'd break down the 16. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16, and I'm looking for 3 of a kind, so I'd take 3 out. So 2 comes out. There's 3 of a kind right there. And I'm left with 1 underneath. So the third root of 16 is 2, third root of 2. All right? Third root of negative 27, third root. Let's break down the 27. Well, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 I know is negative 27. I'm looking for 3 of a kind. Sure enough, I have 3 of a kind. In other words, negative 3 to the third is negative 27. So I can have an odd root of a negative number. I cannot do like a square root of negative 4. That I cannot do because there's no number squared that gives me negative 4, right? If I have a number squared, it's going to be positive. So that can't happen. Fourth root of 16. Now I'm looking for 4 of a kind. Break the 16 down. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. I know 16. I'm looking for 4 of a kind. Okay. Any questions so far on the nth root? You guys will practice some of those in your homework. Let's do an application problem. Distance traveled by an object from rest under the force of gravity depends on how long the fall is. The distance fallen after time t is seconds. The distance after time t is second. It can be modeled by 16 equals t squared. If an object falls for 5.5 seconds, so here's our time. What's the distance? Well, let's plug it in. 16 times 5.5 squared. So I got 16, 5.5 times another 5.5. So I go ahead and punch in my calculator, 5.5 times 5.5, and you get 30.25. Then multiply that by 16, and you get 484. That's the distance in feet, I should say. So this is in feet. An object falls after 5.5 seconds. It's fallen 484 feet. Let's do another one here. Last one. Television screen is, so we got this television screen, 20.4 inches wide, 17.5 inches high. The length of the diagonal is actually the dimension used to describe the size of the television screen. So we want to know that length right there, that diagonal. Right? And do you guys remember the Pythagorean theorem for a right triangle? A, B, C. You remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared? Right? So we're going to use that. Let's call this, instead of a question mark, let's call it C. I'm trying to find C. All right? So 20.4 squared plus 17.5 squared equals c squared. And so how do you solve that? You know, if you have, like, for example, if this is 3, this is 4, 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. So 25 equals c squared. C squared equals 25. How do you undo the square? You square root it. So you get c equals 5. All right. So that's what we'll do here. Let's go ahead and take 20.4 and square it, and we'll get 416.16, and then we'll take the 17.5 and square it. We'll get 306.25. Add those two together, I get c squared equals 416.16 plus 306.25 gets 722.41. Now I undo the square, so I'm going to go ahead and square root that number. And c is 26.87768591, or approximately, we'll just round it to the nearest inch, 27 inches approximately, right? Well, I think that'll get you guys going. Pause the video right here.